to ensure that our people would have good health facilities, did not tell ourselves that we were going to fight ignorance through education, through science and innovation. Did we not tell ourselves that we were going to feed ourselves by having agriculture that is sound and is not rain dependent? Did we not tell ourselves that we were going to use our resources? Did we not tell ourselves that Africa was going to be liberated? We told ourselves those things, but because, as Chinua Achebe rightly said in 1983, the problem of Africa is simply and squarely a problem of leadership, and I dare say, even that of followership, because we who are the voters, we who are in the majority, we have allowed ourselves to create monsters unto ourselves. We have allowed those who stand in positions of leadership to think that they are demigods. And when you have treated people as demigods for too long, they now suffer from the martyr complex. They now suffer from the Messiah complex. And they think that we are mere marionettes and puppets to be manipulated. And they consume all the things that we ought to consume. Africa will only liberate herself from the day that we realize that the problems of Africa can only be solved by ourselves. But we must wake up and be prepared to roll our sleeves. And when we do that, and do that in a sustainable and undisciplined manner, Africa will stop blaming others and begin to use our monumental resources for the benefit of the continent. It can be done, it must be done, and it is only you who can do it. As Julius Kambarage Nyerere famously said, it can be done, play your part. And as the Osagie of Kwame Nkrumah famously said, we cannot solve these problems by looking east or west, we must look forward. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much, Professor Pierre Lumumba. I think one of the key messages that I've gotten from that speech is that as much as we want to blame the East or the West, but Africans, we become the co-authors of our own misfortunes. So I think even some of the solutions must start with us. Thank you so much, Professor Pierre Lumumba, for that, and posing very important questions that we need to, interrogate as Africans. I thought we need to move forward as a continent. All right. So if I bring in Simon Ekpa, I'd like to bring in Saxon from Zimbabwe. Saxon, it's your time now.
Good morning. Good morning, panelists. Good morning, viewers. I'm gonna mostly focus on why European nations intervene militarily in Africa. One of the main reasons that nations in Europe intervene actors do decide to intervene, it is primarily for motives of security, prestige, economic interest, rather than for humanitarian reasons. The weight of the past relations with Africa can also be a driver for European military intervention, but the impact of that past is changing. France's enduring ability to project military power on the African continent and influence political events there yet has been central to its self-perception as a major power. However, since the end of the Cold War, France's paternalistic interference has been increasingly questioned, not at least by Africans, but by other nations as well. This has produced a gradual and somewhat reluctant turn to multilateralism on the part of the French leaders, drawing on in-depth case studies of recent French intervention policy. France's efforts to reassure critics is by securing multilateral endorsements share burdens and liabilities through collective implementation, and reaffirm its status as a major power by spreading complex missions through its intelligence systems, which are the massive humanitarian help, not direct foreign help. The threat of terrorism is prioritized over issues of material wealth, outright, and the environment, which are equally potent threats to human society in the context of France. Such a threat is intersubjective and can be used to justify not only military action but also determine development strategies, climate change action, democratic change, and even territories of African states, so long the actors external to Africa continue to draw the narrative. First, neoliberal economic policies that impose the austerity on African governments increase the likelihood of armed conflict, which in turn led to selective intervention by foreign regimes. You understand, during the early 1990s, IMF, the Bretton Woods Institute, they saw the economic social adjustment programs in many nations, and these structural adjustment programs led to destruction of social safety nets, which had been put in place by newly independent states, and thereby this led to a lot of riots, demonstration. For instance, I can give an example in Zimbabwe in 1999, where the West riots, which were caused by a rise in staple foods, our maize meal, because the IMF had said we should remove subsidies, but we were a young economy which was donor dependent. So you see how these neoliberal economic policies impacted on African governments, thereby creating conflicts which warranted them intervene. Like in 1991 with the 1991 Somali War, where Muhammad said Bara did to wage a protracted war with the US Marines, which this war later became the burden for Africa after the Americans fled the butchering by the Somali terror army. Secondly, US military presence expanded after the 9/11 terror attack, and this impacted African setup. I think we've started noticing the terror groups, the Al Qaeda and Mahreb, we now with ISIS. This is the result of a foreign creation where these guys are fighting their own wars. Like the issue of terror started in 1939 when the United States funded the Mujahideen for when they fight in the Soviet Union. And later they broke ranks with Al Qaeda, Bin Laden, who later started setting bases in Africa, and Africans paid dearly for this. Americans started bombing the terror targets, and in turn, these terrorists started killing African people. And the Americans later set up bases here, and these bases were not only for humanitarian purpose, but were meant to protect their own interests. The same applies to nations like United Kingdom. They also came in under the guise of fighting terror. And if you've noticed, the problem of terrorism is increased in Africa because of their presence. Well, they've got the issue of Arab-Israeli conflict, which the Americans and the Europeans are supporting the Israelis. And these terrorists only follow them to destabilize them and to fight back, like targeting their interests. In the same vein, the Africans are caught in the web. The decline of humanitarian justification for military interventions might signal broader trends in which the project of human rights, the right to protect, which was used in the attack of Libya in 2011, also in Mali in 2013. Libyan intervention under the pretext of the right to protect was a cover-up, as the real reason was to start with the vision of the United States of Africa, which was championed by the late Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. The vision of the late Colonel Gaddafi was going to affect the economic interests of the Europeans. So the only way they had to do was to remove him. And they used some of African nations, like South Africa, who voted for the resolution which authorized military attack on Libya. And at the end of the day, you've seen these military conflicts, they don't benefit Africa at all. Intervention by the Europeans. Right now, if you look at Libya, life is worse off. The Europeans have looted the oil. If you were to check the deposits of oil reserves, so whenever the Europeans intervene, they intervene for their own economic interests or prestige. Aside a few examples of conflicts where the Europeans had paid a debt, i.e., because their interests were not affected, or even they participated to support those conflicts. The conflict resolution community seems to pursue conflict resolution efforts in Africa from a variety of purposes and interests, and with policies that are often replete with ambiguities and contradictions. This situation may be the reason why many African conflicts may be silenced but remain largely unresolved, because the underlying factors of those conflicts will not have been addressed. It will be more cosmetic solutions that would have been suggested. The situation may be, okay, because African conflict involves activities of seasoned peacemakers using the best of personal skills and recently developed knowledge about ways of managing and resolving conflict. International efforts at conflict management has not been particularly effective or efficient in overcoming disasters that have brought them into the continent. The critical question then is how we understand the problem of conflict resolution in Africa. When the actors, mainly external to Africa, propagate the ideas of peace and conflict resolution, corresponding mainly to their own interests and views of African world. The examples of military and economic texts concluded by French-speaking leaders with France's independence are a case in point. In many cases, this fact has not been rescinded half a century after independence, and that is why former French colonies either still have the French military stationed in their countries or continue to call for France for military intervention, as in the case of the Central African Republic and Mali. In Africa, the concept of state or nation is based on Africa's colonial past. Article 4 of the Constitutive Act of the African Union places emphasis on the respect for state boundaries inherited at independence. African states have also remained spheres of influence of former colonial powers, and no power in the world is interested in changing that situation. The European concept of state has had a strong influence on African countries, and it was this concept of state that led to drawing up of arbitrary borders throughout Africa. Such Eurocentric thinking, reinforced by technological and scientific achievements, is still very present in Africa. Colonial rule was the antithesis of democracy because it was premised on the usurpation of fundamental rights to self-determination and of the fundamental human rights of citizens and people. Okoye in 1997 work underscored that the fact that whatever legitimate colonialism possessed was derived not from any set of agreed rules or consensus, but from the monopoly of the means of coercion and violence, and by its divide and rule strategies aimed at intensifying the cleavages, which were the cleavages of class, tribal, and religious, which were inherent in the social structure and at prolonging its rule. Colonial rule never raised the issue of good governance. A review of intervention efforts in African conflict in the last 2 or 3 decades of the 20th century brings out 2 main trends in regard to the main actors or agents and the intervention approaches involved. The first trend shows that the main actors intervening in African conflict were almost entirely from outside of Africa. These were individuals, countries or group of countries, institutions or organizations. Until 1993, Africa was almost totally dependent on outside entities for conflict management. Some of these outside entities or actors included former colonial masters, international organizations, and foreign powers like the United Nations, European Community, and the United States of America, as well as regional efforts like Economic Community for West African States, ECOWAS, in West Africa, and Intergovernmental Authority on Drought and Desertification, IGAD, in East Africa, and a number of non-governmental actors such as former President Jimmy Carter and Julius Nyerere. The second strong idea that emerged from intervention is the increasing emphasis on conflict management rather than resolution as the intervention approach in Africa. China seems to be also waging expanding its influence in Africa because of its policy. China has the advantage of never having enslaved or colonized the continent. China has also not made the false promises quoted with the neoliberalism, whilst the West and the IMF and the World Bank put conditions that only aid in the uplifting of Africa. China has so far been willing to provide unconditional aid in invest in infrastructure. At the same time, however, it really takes full advantage of the opening up of markets and that new liberal economic policy over the last 25 years they've offered and incumbent. So far, unlike the United States, China has not sought to establish military bases in Africa to protect its economic interests, which the US has sought to establish through the setting up of AFRICOM. International humanitarian and peacekeeping efforts have often been marred by conflicting interests that have sometimes led the people they intend to assist. The war and terror, like it's called war pre-antecedent, has increased American and European military presence on the continent, generated a new external support for repressive governments, and contributed to an escalation of violence in many regions. Rather than promoting security, outside intervention has often intensified strife and undermined prospects of peace and demonstrating once again how failure claims of the past is obfuscate the pitfalls of the future. European military interventions are either meant to stabilize African nations or meant to protect their economic interests. When Mozambique waged a brutal civil war, which ended with the signing of the Roma Accord in 1992, and the African initiated peace deal around 2013, we didn't see any European nations intervening in the crisis, which killed many millions, because this crisis was their own creation. For your own information, the Renamo outfit was the creation of the Rhodesian Central Intelligence Organization. It was led by Ken Flower. And when Zimbabwe got its independence, the Central Intelligence structure changed, and the Renamo was now funded by the apartheid in South Africa. The Europeans and the Americans didn't even intervene in save the lives of Mozambicans in 1976 and around 2013 when they were sporadic disturbance after the 1992 Roma Accord, because their interests were not served. When Mozambique discovered oil in 2011 and the Europeans invested, and the terror group started the marauding wars in around 2017, the Europeans became interested because their interests were affected, meaning they don't value us, they value their prestige and their economic interests. Europeans and Americans don't value Africans respond by their inept to protect Africans from civil wars, which they've been funding since the 1970s. The Mozambican Renamo has been funded by their kids and kin, and these European nations never made an effort to resolve the conflict. But now they are raising, they are even deploying troops in Cabo Delgado because Total in other European countries, business interests are now affected. Right now in Mozambique, they are disturbing in central Mozambique from the breakaway of Renamo. But none of these European nations have suggested to deploy troops there. Why? Because they enjoy interest there. Angola underwent a blood civil war after its independence. And who was funded the UNITA was Portugal. Portugal is an European nation. And none of these, the European Union or even the United States, talked about sending troops to stop the war in Angola. At one time, South African begged apartheid intervened to support UNITA, but none of these European nations raised a question or even tried to assist. At one time, UNITA's military prowess was more powerful than MPLA-led government. And if were it not for Cuba, Luanda would have fallen. And these European nations, they didn't see any problems with that. Then it was all fine when Africans were butchering each other because their interests were not served. The Democratic Republic of War has never known peace. The Democratic Republic of War, former Zaire, has got 90 minerals of economic interest. The reason why it has been never known peace,
Simon,
is because
Saxon, you have 2 minutes to summarize.
Okay. The Democratic Republic has never known
2 minutes to summarize your speech, okay. Make your points, and we thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
The DRC war was supported by Belgium and the CIA, which actually imposed Mobutu Sese Seko. And when Mobutu Sese Seko was deposed, the Southern African nations supported Laurent Desire Kabila Kabila. And some of these nations like Zimbabwe paid dearly for affecting European interests in the DRC. And after the intervention of nations like Zimbabwe, the United Kingdom sided, the US sided the UK in the bilateral conflict, resulting in the imposition of sanctions on military establishment of the Zimbabwean government because they affected their European and American interests. Rwanda genocide in 1994, the same European nations never paid interest when Africans were butchering each other because their interests were not served. So the issue of military interventions in Africa by Europeans doesn't serve our interests, but promotes and perpetuates their hegemony. And after that military intervention, they come in with these NGOs, which are meant to perpetuate and protect their interests, thereby fostering policies meant to ensure their continued looking to enhance their economic hegemony. I submit.
All right, thank you so much, Saxon Spina, all the way from Harare, Zimbabwe, for that presentation. Next, I'll welcome Dr. David Matanga, who in return will bring us the next speaker, Simon Ekpa. Dr.
Thank you. Thank you very much, participants across the world, wherever you are in Africa, from West Africa in Banjul to East Africa in Asmara, North Africa in Cairo, South Africa in Cape Town, Central Africa in Kigali. Thank you very much for watching us. Thank you very much for listening to our show this morning. I hope we are still in the morning session. Afternoon, morning. What is the time? It's noon. Thank you very much. Now, there are 2 points that I want to make clear and to bring you back to the topic. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba raised a number of things. It looked like he changed the program, the question to us Africans. Am I wrong, Prof? You changed the question to us. And I want the next speakers to change and to answer those questions. Is it us who are the problem? Is the problem on the continent of Africa, or it is a continent which is a package that comes from France? There, I and the professor, we shall struggle on it in the afternoon again. I will be on a different side, I don't want to tell you, but I want other people to convince me that this problem is an African problem. It is us Africans who cause this problem. And we are part and parcel to blame. It is us who always become conduits of this war. It is us who call these guys to come in. Do we have the will to manufacture a toothpick? How many African countries manufacture toothpicks? But our trees are cut in Garamba Park, in Mabira Forest, and you see trucks and trucks of timber going to China for China to make toothpicks. And then we see women and men loaded in Kenya Airways, Uganda Airways, Qatar, Emirates, Air China, going to buy toothpicks and bring them back to sell them to us. So where is the problem, Prof? We want the speakers to focus. The problem of Mozambique is narcotics. And the President Nyusi, we are putting you on notice. This is not this is not going to be a honeymoon for you. to hide under SADC and not to be told that you are part of the problem that caused the war in Cape Delgado. Yes. Yes. Why was this war not there when Chisano was there? Hey, that's why we need Chisano later on this afternoon. Frelimo is a party created, supported by Africa. As I bring in my next speaker, I want to thank both speakers, Professor Piero Lumumba, for significantly bringing in the aspect of our problem. In some African countries, we are told we have to have elections every 5 years. Do you have the money to hold an election every 5 years? And then you go on borrowing this money. You are borrowing the money every time to do an election. Then when you cheat it, they come to say you borrowed our money and we want accountability. You say, no, this is my election. This is my country. This is my what? Have you seen the problem we have? Professor brought it on table. This is the 21st century. Some African countries are telling people, instead of giving them technology, they are giving them all this stone age equipment. Whew. What a show today. Bro, you brought something. There's something you spoke that touched my heart. This stone equipment of creating fire, of rubbing a stone on a stone when we have already moved. This is the poverty of faith we have on the continent of Africa. The arbitrary dictatorial tendencies of leaders in Africa. You talked of leaders gathering in African Union, Prof. Buhari also calls himself a leader. He gathers in African Union. When younger girls in Nigeria are being abducted every day, why don't you sit home like a Pombe Magufuli? The late did not attend these stupid things of AU, UN. Hey, Africa, we want to talk. Now, Saxon dealt with the background of colonial mentality. I want to keep you up to date with the debate. As Simon comes in, Simon Ekpa is a Biafran. He's a Biafran who struggles for independence of a Biafran state. Our work here is to listen, to talk to every African, as long as you are not a terrorist. Because we don't talk to terrorists. And we don't want people to label others terrorists because they want to have power. Don't label people terrorists because they have disagreed with you on opinion. You label Al-Shabaab terrorists because they have uniform from Saudi Arabia. But you don't even condemn Saudi Arabia. Did they steal the uniform from Saudi Arabia? They come and they use the same uniform to maim us in Nairobi and Kampala. And then you keep on saying, I'm an African, climbing an Airbus plane going to London. I'm an African head of union. I am an African, Paris. I am an African going to Germany to go and discuss. Why don't you ask questions? Why is Al-Shabaab wearing a uniform similar to Saudi Arabian army? Who gives them the uniform? Why are you not asking Saudi Arabia? How did the uniform that Al-Shabaab wears reach Mogadishu to disturb Farimajo's government. Today I'm on the side of Farimajo, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes, Nigeria is falling ship, sinking ship. A country with 200 million people with nothing to show in Africa, only Hollywood. Oh, what a shame. My next speaker comes from that country. He's a Biafran. And even if there is anybody who wants to counter him, the Nigerian embassy, you are listening. Wherever you are, come out. Don't operate underground. Come and we talk. Nigeria's problem is political, not judicial. You will not solve that problem judicially, in a judicial manner, sorry. You must solve it politically. My Africa, welcome Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa lives in Finland. He's a Biafran. His views are for Biafra and for the people of Africa. The question at hand today, EU, the conflict it supports on Africa or tries to prevent on Africa. Do they manufacture them for their interest or for the interest of Africans? That's the question. And the PLO answered it very well. We collect AK-47, we buy them. Small arms must be sold for the metros and the trains to work in Paris. Paris. Do you know that 3/4 of Africa is destabilized by Paris? Are you ashamed that after Afghanistan, the United States of America wants to offload gun, some conflict in Indian Ocean again, near Palma? What is Palma? The center of narcotics. Thank you very much, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for blowing a ship that came from Palma. Woohoo! Don't you see that? Very interesting. When the President Uhuru Kenyatta blew the ship on the sea in Mombasa, where I am, the world condemned him. Some people condemned him, you saw. But we people who have been fighting drugs against narcotics. But where was the narcotics coming from? Afghanistan. Where was it being offloaded? Parliament. Why is Mozambique a conduit of narcotics? Wait for my paper this afternoon. Hallelujah, walai. It has to come out. For now, I call upon Simon to give us his views. Simon Ekpa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see you are wearing the real African. Yes.
Thank you.
Simon, you are wearing the real African attire of Kingdom of Africa. I love Biafrans. I've loved them. I've supported them since 1967. I supported them. My father was a good supporter. My president, Dr. Milton Obote, was a good supporter. I love Biafrans. Nyerere, my man, the mentor I follow, and whom Professor PLO here follows, loved Biafra. Kaunda, who went away a few days ago, loves Biafra. They were the first people who stood up and said, recognize Biafra. My father took me to that conference when I was a younger man and said, come to Kampala while you stay at your uncle's place in a place called Naguru while we go for the conference in Speak Hotel. And I kept on saying, what is this problem that my father wants me to see? I did not know he was telling me he will one day stand up for 6 good years, free voluntarily, defend what my father started together with others. I call upon Simon, you have 35 minutes. Take it away to 45 minutes. Bring us to perspective. Welcome, Simon, on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, for this wonderful opportunity given to me today to be part of this conference. I greet you. I thank you for setting up this particular conference where we will discuss issues affecting Africa as a whole. I also thank Professor Flo Lumumba for always being there for Africa as a Pan-African. I also thank him for the fact that he is now speaking the same language with us, and I really appreciate him for that. Also, welcome our viewers. Professor Lumumba has said a lot of things that I wanted to point out, and on that note, it is going to be a lesser problem for me. Professor Lumumba have pointed out a lot of things, including why have we ever wondered why the leaders in Africa are always going to some place to pay homage and get directive from them. Of course, this same question he has answered. I will also address it from my own perspective and from my own context. What is the problem of Africa? The topic today, as you said, is EU deployment in Africa conflict zone for political stability or for their own economic stability. First of all, the problem with Africa, especially the African leaders and Africans, is that when we take one step forward, we take 10 steps backward. What do I mean by this? I mean that when Africa take one step forward, they take 10 steps backward. We remember the history of Kenya, the history of Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta's father, when he was being persecuted for fighting for freedom of his people, Biafrans, and a Biafran leader in the name of Dr. Nnamdi Kanu gave him protection in Biafra land. We Biafra people, we stand very tall to protect the father of Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya today. That was a step forward. That was a step forward to serve humanity, respect for freedom, respect for self-determination. That was so many years ago. Today, in 2020, in 2021, Uhuru Kenyatta has paid that same Biafra with 20 steps backward. That is what I can say is the problem of Africa. Our leader, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, were abducted in Kenya by the Nigerian government, kidnapped, taken to a private apartment in Kenya with the help of the Kenya authorities, police. Instead of Uhuru Kenyatta to offer something that Biafra people offered to his father, he betrayed Biafra. That is 20 steps backward. And I am calling on Kenyans today to know this fact before I go forward into making my presentation, that we are demanding Kenya to step up and make sure that our leader who was abducted in Kenya will be repatriated back to Kenya or where he come from. It is a breach of Kenya law. It is a breach of Kenya constitution. It was a breach of Kenya sovereignty, and the Kenya people must not allow this to happen, and they must not keep quiet. Nigeria cannot come into Kenya and abduct somebody from a different country and you are all keeping quiet. So I'm calling on Uhuru Kenyatta to remember that Biafra people that he allowed Nigeria to kidnap today, we also offer the same help to his father. And as a result of the help we offer to his father, that is the reason why Kenya is as it is today. Kenya were able to be a better country today because of the selfless service, because of the sacrifice of the Uhuru Kenyatta's father, of which Nnamdi Azikiwe, a Biafran, and Biafra people were part and parcel of that sacrifice. Now, going further, whether this European invasion or presence in Africa is for us, is for Africa people, I will want to say this. I also thank Professor Lumumba for the fact that he acknowledged and agreed that in Africa, especially in Nigeria, we have a dangerous diversity. Dangerous diversity that must be dismantled for us to move forward and progress. Some of you do not understand how life works. For us to have a better life, for us to have a better and secure society, we need to undergo a very rigorous and tough process. Very tough process. I want to tell you that for a diamond to be formed, it has to undergo about 2000 to 2002 degree of heat, of temperature, to be able to form and become diamond. This is also a principle of life. For the world today, let me tell you one thing. The life we live in today, this global village, the Western world, the America, the Asia, that everybody is enjoying today, had undergone over 2000 degrees of temperature to become what it is. The European that are sending or deploying some troop in Africa for stability has also undergone 2000 degrees of heat to be able to become stable, to have the opportunity and the possibility to begin to send troops to Africa. How were they able to become this stable? They undergo wars. They went through wars. Wars. Let me now give a little bit illustration to this. For example, somebody who were giving birth in 1900, if you are giving birth in 1900, the process of the world becoming a diamond started in 1914. The World War First begins in 1914. So if you are born, or if you were born in 1900, at age of 14, you already witnessed the First World War. As the world continued to undergo the process of this 2200 degrees to become diamonds, when you become the age of 18, over 22 million people were dead as a result of the First World War. As time goes by, shortly after that, you had what we called the Spanish pandemic. The Spanish pandemic killed over 50 million people. This same corona you see today, we have had it. All these things are part of design for the world and the global village to undergo a very high degree of heat. Spanish flu killed over 50 million people. But if you were born in 1900, by then you are 20 years old. Then as you grow, at the age of 29, we had what we called the economic crisis, global economic crisis, which collapsed the New York exchange, causing inflation, unemployment, and hunger all over the world. So, and if you were born in 1900, you were just 29 years old. The world was still undergoing the degree and the very highest degree of temperature for us to have a global village we have today. As you continue to grow from the economic crisis, you become 33 years. In your 33 years, 3 years later, or 4 years later, you have the Nazis coming to power in the West. And as the Nazis came to power in the West, you continue to manage your life and grow up to 39. At the age of 39, you have what we call the World War II. The World War II began when you were 39 years old. And that was what led to the Holocaust, where over 6 million Jews were slaughtered. That was the world and the global village undergoing a process. A process that will later shape in the world to what we have today. And in that World War II, over 60 million people died. And they were just 39 years old. At the age of 45, you have seen the Holocaust. So when you grow and continue to grow, you get to 52 years old. The Korean War began. It is a process. So those who were born from 1900 did not have easy life. But you know what? They paid the price. They made wrong decisions. There were wars, there were killings, and that has propelled the world to begin to think on a way to avoid crisis and avoid World War II or World War III. That led to the creation of United Nations. When you were 64 years old, the Vietnam War began. They fought Vietnam War until you are like 75 years old. Why am I saying this? Because if you were born in 1980 something, 1985 to 1995, you would not understand the history, how this world has undergone all manner of degree of temperature to be able to shaping it the way it is today. As the world were undergoing this degree of temperature, it did not affect Africa. During the World War, it did not affect Africa. Africa was on their own. Most of them didn't see bomb. Like Hiroshima, they did not see bomb being thrown on Africa's soil. So, in 2020, you sit in your comfort zone and you say, we must not agitate for freedom of our people. In 2021, you say, we must all sit down and see Africa being destroyed. In 2021, we have seen opportunity how to reshaping Africa, how to restructure Africa, how to make Africa one of the best continents in the world. And for Africa to become one of the best in the world, it has to undergo a process. For those who are using South Sudan as example, that when Nigeria is divided, you are going to have crisis. For those who are using those countries like South Sudan to say, if you get Biafra, you are going to have crisis. Let me tell you, as you continue to allow the West to control you, claiming that in diversity, you are going to be better. Let me tell you this. If you continue to allow Africa to remain the way it is, you are only compiling the problem. It is mental torture. Mental torture. Because what is happening in South Sudan today shouldn't have happened if the freedom were given to them 30 years ago, when the war started in Sudan. The problem you have in South Sudan today, you are not going to have it. But because of the mental torture the Southern Sudanese went through for 30 good years involved in battlefield, it was as a result of mental torture. And it is going to take a while for Southern Sudan to come back to normal and become the best. And you see them attaining their best and best potential. Biafra fought a war with Nigeria. We were able to hold Nigeria for 3 good years. Biafra were recognized by many countries in Africa and other parts of the world. Today, we have come to say, because of the impunity in Nigeria, because of the dangerous diversity in Nigeria, because we want the best for Africa, we say we want the freedom of Biafra from Nigeria. And the more you delay this freedom of Biafra people, the more you subject Biafrans to mental slavery, mental torture, physical torture, that will also affect their mental reasoning, their brains, just the way the South Sudan are going, what they are going through today. The only difference why Biafra can never be the same thing with South Sudan is because Biafrans are more civil. We are scattered all over the world. We have governed ourselves before South Sudan. We have tested the sovereign state between 1967 to 1970. We have been able to govern ourselves during the Eastern region, and we are going to do it again, and we are going to do better. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that Africa needs to disintegrate to enable it have a very formidable force and unity. Before you talk about solving the crisis that made the Europeans to deploy troops to Africa, you need to know what is the root cause of this crisis. What is the root cause of the crisis? What is the root cause of the wars in Africa? The cause of the crisis in Africa is as a result of dangerous diversity. Every place you see conflict today in Africa is as a result of diversity, cultural differences, religious differences, political differences, different political opinions, which are very dangerous as a result of many years of subjugation and slavery. So what I'm saying now is that the more you delay disintegration of Africa, which will start from Nigeria, the more doom that is going to befall Africa. What we are doing now is to save the future. We may not be the one to enjoy whatever we are fighting for today, but we are fighting for future generation of Africa. But if you continue to delay the disintegration of Africa, just like the European Union have it, you are subjecting people to mental torture, which will have a side effect, which will come with consequences. The consequences of such can be seen in South Sudan. South Sudan is a very good example, is a very good case study. Had it been that the United Nations came to the rescue of South Sudan like 30 years ago, you will not have the conflict you have in South Sudan today. But because they allow them to continue to have the mental torture for over 30 years, how do you think you are going to be in war, fighting war for 30 years and you are going to remain the same? You can never remain the same. And the people who are going to enjoy South Sudan will be the generation to come. This generation of South Sudan will continue to pay the price of long subjugation, of long slavery, of long mental torture, which the world subjected them to. We do not want to undergo the same process with South Sudan. That is why if you love Africa, you must rise up today to agree and identify the fact that Nigeria needs to be disintegrated, and other African countries that feel that they are not the same need to be disintegrated for a better Africa to emerge. Today, we see troops from France. Why are the France or French people sending troops to Africa? Why are there the conflict there in Africa? Because of diversity. This diversity must be disintegrated in order for peace to return to Africa. When we divide Africa along tribal line, when we divide these countries along tribal line, French will not have no reason to send troops. But the more you delay this disintegration of Africa, the more you delay the disintegration of Nigeria, the more you are subjecting the people to mental slavery and mental torture. The more you are creating room for crisis when they eventually emerge. Let me also tell you, the top 5 countries that had their independence. I want you to show me where a country called Palau. Palau is an independent country. They have population of about 21,500 people. Are you aware of that? A country called Palau. Palau got independence in 1994. They had about 2,100 people as a population. Do you see any crisis there? The answer is no. It is not a matter of population. It is not a matter of size. But I'm telling you today that Palau, as a country, independent state, they got their independence in 1994, and there are just 21,000 people in that country. Do you also know about East Timor? East Timor got its independence in the year 2002. Why, even though there may be some kind of disagreement there as a part of society, but it is not the kind of disagreement, it is not the kind of crisis you have in a very dangerous country where you have dangerous diversity like Nigeria. You also may have heard about Montenegro and Serbia. Montenegro and Serbia got their independence in 2006. Do you see any crisis killing like in South Sudan? The answer is no. So the question is why? Why are they not killing in Montenegro? Why are there not killings in Serbia? Why are there not crises like in these places like in South Sudan? Because South Sudan in Africa has been subjugated to mental torture for 30 good years of war. Why would the UN allow South Sudan to fight a very bloody war for 30 good years? It has affected their mental capacity and they are no longer normal. So the people who are going to enjoy South Sudan will be the generation that is coming. And by then, you are going to use South Sudan as a case study of countries that have worked and progressed. Another country is Kosovo. Kosovo got independent in 2008. Do you have in Kosovo the kind of crisis you have in South Sudan? The answer is no. Why South Sudan got its independence in 2011? 2011. From 2011 to now, you are using South Sudan as a case study why you cannot support Biafra. It is very absurd. So what we are saying is we need to copy. We need to copy. Copy is allowed. Look at how Europeans were able to disintegrate their country along tribal line. Biafra, Oduduwa, Ambazonia, and all this country must be allowed to go their separate way. To give the opportunity to develop according to how they want to develop their country. We talk about our leaders going to pay homage to other leaders of the world. It is because of inferiority complex. Because of inferiority complex, because of greed, because of ignorance. Ignorant in the sense that, tell me if during the 1960s or before 1960s, Uhuru Kenyatta father will come to Biafra for refuge. And the Biafra people granted him protection. We gave him food. In Enugu State today, in Enugu State in Biafra land, we even named the street before Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta's father. Our territory, our street were named after Uhuru Kenyatta for fighting for the freedom of his people. But what are we getting today in return? We are getting backstabbing and betrayal from the same man we helped his father. Had it been that Uhuru Kenyatta's father did not come to Biafra, who would know his fate today? Who would know what will become of this current Kenya president today? Nobody knows. I have not come to this conference to insult him. But this is the part of problem of Africa. Betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. When we are talking of how to develop Africa, how to be on top of this game in global village, globally, we see people who are educated, who knows laws, who knows treaties, who understand what diplomacy means. They are breaching it, betraying their own people with impunity. We saw Uhuru Kenyatta in London. The Kenya have come to give a statement denying their involvement. But the question is, were Mazi Nnamdi Kanu actually in Kenya? The answer is yes. This is part of the problem of Africa. We need to begin to understand that a disintegrated Africa will favor every one of us. We need to understand that as France and the French people are sending troops to Africa, they are sending troops to Africa because they are comfortable in their own country. The question is, what makes French so comfortable in their own country? Is because they have one language, they have one cultural value, they understand each other, they know that dividing along tribal line will keep them on top of the world. They know that the system of government the European Union have adopted will continue to keep them on top of everybody. We also want to enjoy the democracy. We want to enjoy a good society. We want to live like them because Africa is where you get all the natural and mineral resources that you see today that Europeans, America, Asians are using to develop their own country. Professor Lumumba made a very important pronouncement, very important references on this conference today. And I agree with most of the things, if not all. The question now is, how do we solve this problem? How do we solve this problem? We will solve this problem by confronting our problem in Africa. We cannot solve this problem by shying away. When we see the problem confronting us, standing right before us, we need to confront it and solve it. How do we confront this problem? Everybody must start to speak and understand that the liberation of Africa starts from Nigeria. The liberation of Africa starts from Nigeria. The end of insurgency in Africa starts from Nigeria. Africa needs a country that will become a role model to other countries in Africa. As it stands today, like Professor Lumumba said, the leaders of Africa have failed. There are few leaders who can do and still stand on their word. But many of these African leaders have failed, and they will continue to fail. There is only one opportunity, only one possibility to solve it, is by looking into the Africa most populous country, Nigeria. Nigeria that sponsored terrorists, Nigeria that sponsored terrorism, Nigeria that sponsor extraordinary rendition, Nigeria that sponsor kidnapping, Nigeria that go into another man's country to kidnap and repatriate a suspect. How do you think that Nigeria and Africa is going to be better? When you see one another betraying one, when you see one country betraying another, breaching their other country's law with impunity. How can you have a better Africa when Uhuru Kenyatta is the chairman of African Union or something, and you see another African country coming inside his own country to have somebody kidnapped? And today, nobody is talking about it. How can you have a better country? How can you have a better continent? How can you have a better Africa with that kind of mentality? Everybody have suddenly realized that Gaddafi was doing a good job. Because of the absence of Gaddafi today, you were able to know that Gaddafi was the man that has been doing a good job. It was because of the fall of Libya that the crisis, arms and ammunition spread all over Africa. Who brought those arms to Libya? Who brought those arms to Libya? It was Obama. Where is Obama? Where is Obama from? Obama's father is from Kenya. Kenya. And Obama sponsored rebels in Libya against a sitting president called Gaddafi. They pumped arms and ammunition into Libya rebels in Africa to destabilize the North Africa. Today, we are seeing the consequences of what Obama did in Libya. There is now free arm movement in entire Africa. Boko Haram, ISWAP, ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, all of them using American weapons that was shipped to Libya to overthrow Gaddafi. Now, which one is better? Is it that Gaddafi could have been allowed to live and continue his evil, if there is any evil at all? Or would you now look back to the days of Gaddafi and say you are now proud Africa for supporting the invasion of Libya? When Gaddafi was killed, the same African leaders was the one who sold and betrayed Gaddafi. All these African leaders, African president, they supported the American invasion in Libya. And that is exactly what Lumumba has pointed out. They take instructions from other countries. It is very, very worrisome and very absurd if we continue to allow these ignorant, incompetent leaders in Africa to continue. We have the possibility, we have the opportunity, we are in a better position as people of the modern age to tell how we want Africa to be. And we have come to realize that the problem of Africa is because we did not divide along tribal line. The countries of Africa will undergo a process that will now reshaping Africa. And that process has started in Nigeria. The process is not going to be very easy. We want to have a referendum in Nigeria to enable us set the ground for a better Africa. But like everybody knows, they say you cannot get freedom by peaceful means. You cannot get freedom by peaceful means. But there are countries who have conducted referendum and they have their independence. I am calling on all leaders today in Africa to remember that if you turn your back on Nigeria, if you turn your back and close your back on Nigeria, if you say it is not your business, let me tell you, the time is coming when it is going to be your business. By the time the terrorists take over Nigeria, it will become your business. By then, you would be saying, had I known, I would have supported Biafra people. Let me tell you, Nigerians will invade your country for asylum. Nigerians will invade your country for asylum. And after they deal with Nigeria, capture Nigeria, which is, by the way, at this point, the most populous African country, do you think that your country of 4 million, do you think that your country of 5 million, do you think that your country of 20 million will not be run over by the terrorists from Nigeria? If that is what you are thinking, think again after this conference today. If terrorists can run over 200 million in Nigeria, what is your country? What is your capacity? What is your military strength? If the terrorists being sponsored by Nigerian government can hold Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Niger Republic, and Nigeria to ransom, what makes you think that your country will not be invaded and attacked in due time? What you do to Nigeria today, as you are talking on behalf of Biafrans, you are also saving the future of your own country. If you refuse to do that, the time is coming when the terrorists that are terrorizing Nigeria today will remember your country and they will remember your region. And when that time comes, you must have missed the opportunity you should have used to support Biafrans, to support Biafra independence, so that by the time Nigeria disintegrates, you are going to have Oduduwa nation, which will have military power. You are going to have Biafra nation, which is going to have their own military strength. You are going to have the Middle Belt, which is going to have their own military strength. And without infiltration of the terrorists, without being compromised, we will rise up together and fight terrorists and chase them away from the region of Sahel. When we succeed in doing that, we have made Africa a safer place for everybody. Do not think that today, because of Nigeria predicament, it is not your business. We have Al-Shabaab in Kenya. Al-Shabaab is very active in Kenya, although they are not as active as the terrorists in Sahel. But I'm telling you to think about it. By the time Boko Haram join forces with Al-Shabaab in Kenya, they will run over you people in a couple of months. By the time they found safe haven in Nigeria, make Nigeria the safe haven, put their hand in our oil money, in our natural resources, they're already mining gold and other mineral resources in Nigeria. By the time they find safe haven in Nigeria, they are going to join hand with Al-Shabaab. And once they join hand with Al-Shabaab, I want to know how many population you have in Kenya. It will not take them long to run over you. How many population do you have in Mozambique? It will not take them long to run over you. This is a long-term planning that we all must rise up. As you are solving Biafra problem, you are solving your future problem. Don't say that Nigeria problem does not concern you. So long as you are an African, Nigeria problem is your problem. So long as you find yourself in Africa's soil, Nigeria problem is your problem. We have also had the United Nations, the United States Intelligence Agency reporting that the terrorists were trying to work together in Nigeria. That was 2 years ago. Today, ISWAP has joined forces with Boko Haram. Today, They have elected governor in Borno State in the northeast of Nigeria. Today, they have their own government within government. So if you think that this is not your problem, it is your problem. Professor Lumumba, I must commend you. We want to see more of you, Professor Lumumba, because you are one of the respected person in Africa. You have been the one talking and preaching to government officials in Africa. We want to see more of you because your word is taken very, very seriously in Africa. So, Professor Lumumba, this job of educating African leaders, it is not we cannot just only focus on telling them corruption. We have to also focus on enlightening them, telling them why the corruption has persisted. The corruption has persisted means because the people, the structure of countries in Africa, they are fraudulent structure. And you cannot build a better society in a fraudulent foundation. You can't stop. You cannot stop corruption in Africa when the foundation is faulty. So let us leave corruption and focus on the problem that is bringing and aiding and abetting corruption activity in Africa, which is that the structure and the foundation is faulty. And we need to go back to drawing board. We need to go back to the European structure where they divide along tribal line. You think in those days that the crisis you are having in Africa today, you did not witness them in Europe? The crises are there in Yugoslavia, in Russia, in Czechoslovakia. All these places witnessed this crisis. What gave birth to this crisis was the diversity. It could not work. European Union decided to divide along tribal line to avoid any kind of political turmoil. Today they are progressing along tribal line. So my brother, my professor, my land brother and friend, Professor Lumumba, let us focus on telling Africa where the problem started, how it could be solved. The corruption can never end in Africa if you did not address it from the fundamental and from the foundation, which is the foundation and the structure of each country in Africa. We need to begin to look inward, divide ourselves along tribal line, and we are going to start from Nigeria. Thank you very much for having me today, and let me know if I'm going to make a different presentation in the afternoon of this program. Thank you, Professor Lumumba. Thank you, viewers, other panelists. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga, for having me, and I rest my case here.
Thank you very much, Simon. Before you go, I want to take this opportunity to tell the world that I thank you very much for agreeing to take part in this conference. And don't give up all the time. You are giving another speech this afternoon after His Excellency President, former President of Mozambique, Chisano, has given us a few remarks. So don't give up. We shall return here about 3 p.m. No, not to return. We are not breaking now. We have a lady coming. You notice that, Simon, you have made a few serious points. I don't want people to lose sight of what you have done, you have said. The first point you have made is the collapse of Nigeria means chaos for Africa. Very serious. Nigeria collapses, imagine how many terrorists we shall have for Boko Haram coming to our doorsteps. Isn't it true? He has made that point. I agree with you on that. Already, Turkey has divided Africa. It has sent troops to Libya, dividing Libya into two parts between France and Turkey. You have a point there, my brother. Look at the number of terrorists that are flowing through to Chad, going to kill Idris. Look at the number of terrorists that are flowing through Egypt to Tigray. You remember in Ethiopia? Another point I want to make as you go, before you leave. Yes, I am one of the few people who have stood up against Buhari. And I will not leave it now not to say something about Buhari before you leave. I'm not worried. I am 65 years old. Buhari should be 80 or 85, I don't know. Is he 85? He should be gone. You see, he's a general, I'm also a soldier. He can threaten civilians. Buhari and Nigeria, you Biafrans, listen first. Buhari is a very dangerous man. He abducts people. He abducts people. In 1984, he tried to abduct Umar Diko. Umar Diko was found in a coffin in Stansted Airport by the British MI5, MI6, and the Metropolitan Police. When you are dealing with Buhari, that is his landmark, that is his trade. Buhari trade is to kill, to kidnap. He can kidnap. I have seen a lot of, it could have been in any country. Simon, I want to make this clear. It could have been in any country. Because Buhari seemed to have been following Mr. Nnamdi Kanu from London. We seem to be checking, we might be pointing fingers elsewhere. But I want to advise you, Biafrans, to start searching your souls to find out the people Buhari uses to monitor your leaders. I'm telling you today, I have been in a struggle, an armed struggle, worse than Nnamdi Kanu's, for 36 years. I've been having running battles with President Museveni of Uganda. We never saw each other eye to eye. Even when he comes to Nairobi, those days I used to fly out. If he comes to London, I used to make 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 Ugandans to crowd the hotel. And he could be taken by helicopter from Hilton Hotel. This is the Matanga who used to do it. And I kept my faith. I was always ahead of an enemy. And I want to tell you, Simon, today, be ahead of this enemy, Buhari. As an leader, I'm giving you advice. Always be ahead. All leaders of IPOB, be ahead. You might condemn people who are your friends for nothing. But to be ahead, know that the man you have as the president is a kidnapper. Kanu could have been kidnapped anywhere in Tanzania, in Cameroon, in Addis Ababa, because Buhari monitored Kanu from London where he was staying or wherever he was staying. None of us knew where he was. Only Buhari knew his movements. So don't finish anger and destroy anger on other people when the biggest problem in the house is your man called Buhari. Why is he not telling the world how he was able to steal a person? Why do you turn it on innocent people? We are now also, some of us are asking very seriously questions to the world. We are not keeping quiet. The British government must come out and tell the world one of their nationals is lying in a prison, communicado, under the hands of the Fulani killer man, sitting on his body without any prosecution, without being brought out of the court to the court. That's my position. Don't condemn everybody. Don't. People must use the language which has decorum to persuade people to continue to talk about the release of Nnamdi Kanu, to give him a fair trial. And we are not going to sit here like children all the time. Condemnation. Condemnation must go to the man himself. He's in London hospital, he'll be there. Organize a demonstration for him to be taken out of the hospital, to be treated in a bunker somewhere. That's the guy. That's the master. You don't play for the second fiddle. Play for the master. The master of this whole exercise is the government of Nigeria. The plane could have landed in Zanzibar. Still, he had a plan to take Nnamdi Kanu. Yes. Yes. Every day you speak, you talk, you insult people. But I want you to take leave. See who is the main problem here. The main perpetrator is Buhari. And earlier you pointed this mistake to the British government. Who are those in the British Nigerian High Commission in London who are not working as diplomats, but they are working as espionage agents? Hello? Simon, you hear me today?
I hear you, Masanga. Thank you very much.
You hear me today? Nnamdi Kanu has not fought for 36 years. I've fought the government of Uganda for 36 years. You must always be ahead of them, not them to be ahead of you. For all leaders of IPOB, listen to my lips to them. Don't move carelessly. Don't. I don't want to say many things here. Because after all this, I went back to find what is not supposed to be done. Never, never. And I regret. I should not have, had I known, I should not have done that interview. I would have helped. Next time, those who are near IPOB, listen to me. The people of Biafra look at you. Some of us who are friends of Biafra want you to succeed. I've told you my father was a negotiator. Where were you? My father negotiated my president, whom I served and whom I served, whom I left Uganda when I was serving. He's dead, but I still honor him. I've never changed sides. Look at me. Look at me, God. Look at me, whatever he is. What has happened that I'm speaking, the English he taught me. Yes, that I'm speaking the Pan-Africanism that he told me I should stand firm and speak. But I'm always ahead. That's it. Thank you, Simon. The factor of Turkey. Turkey has become another neo-colonial state on African continent. Turkey has become a new colonizer. Turkey is sponsoring terrorists to dismember Africa. Turkey has become a bad state. It has killed Libya. Yes, under the auspices of European Union, isn't it? Under the auspices of European Union. I want you to listen to my paper this afternoon. I've not given my paper. Whatever I'm talking is coming from my political science and international relations knowledge, which I have, which I can talk without any paper on me. But I'm bringing a paper this afternoon. The departure of Americans from Afghanistan means trouble. Why Mozambique is in chaos? Narcotics. Woohoo! Narcotics. Why are we hiding? Simon, I thank you very much. I agree with you with that point. That if Nigeria collapses and there is no Biafra to help us, terrorists will swamp our cities and kill us. The African Union is also captured by another man, a Fulani from Chad. That's why he doesn't talk about Nigeria. He's a Fulani from Chad called Muhammad Faki. He just springs up and goes and brings Israel to divide Africa. Have you seen that? Didn't I predict to you that African Union will divide in two parts? Simon, didn't I say that? Is African Union together today? We have Algeria leading over 34 countries who are not happy with African Union. And I told you I will set the fire. I will set the fire. I will set the fire. PLO Lumumba is here. He can talk. He doesn't set the fire. I have set the fire. There is no African Union. African Union is captured by France. Our chairman of African Union is more visible in Paris than he is visible in Addis Ababa. Shame. Shame. Shame, Africa. With those words, I want now to call upon my sister from Lusaka, Zambia. My sister from Lusaka, Zambia. I have set the stage for you, sir. Madam.
Thank you very much.
Ladies, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, you notice that men only have been speaking since morning. Let this lady give us lunch time so that she gives us saliva enough to go and eat our food during lunch. Madam, serve us the lunch menu. My sister Mutinta, Mutanti, Sowe from Zambia, which is having elections near Mozambique, near Zimbabwe, that they have wanted to kill. They have wanted to kill Zimbabwe. We stood for Zimbabwe. Hallelujah, Matanga stood for Zimbabwe. Today, Mnangagwa is leading it in the right direction. Yes. What I struggled before I got it. I did not want Mugabe to be killed by imperialists. I wanted Mugabe to die his own death. And I won. There was no violent regime change from Tony Blair. No. That's a plus for me. The war in Uganda stopped. Yes, that's a plus for me. It's a legacy. What else do you want me to do? President Museveni is getting more votes in northern Uganda because this mouth here went to speak to a rebel who had killed 1 million people to stop killing and sign documents. The 5 agenda that was signed, Dr. Oriem is there, he's a Ugandan. He's returned, even when the rebel did not sign, but my paper and my signature gave peace to northern Uganda. Hallelujah. Yes. Tell me. You think you haven't seen my other side, PLO. PLO can have the English. And I have the experience. He's a lawyer in English. I have the experience in political science. You never lie me about international bad relations. If your student is running international relations, your child tear the report. There is nothing like international relations. Thank you very much. Thank you, my people of Biafra. I now call upon Zambia. Zambia, Mutinta Masowe. You are welcome. Next, after Zambia, starting after lunch, which will be 2 o'clock. We shall take a break and come back at 2 o'clock sharp. Will be Dr. Will be my dear brother David Kusowe. Then followed by Juliet Mahapira. Then followed by Dr. Nyachama coming in down there. Then we go to Uganda. There is a gentleman who has requested to speak. He follows, we shall tell you. But those people prepare your papers for Africa. Then followed by a lady from Khartoum, the woman who stood on top of the tank. Ha! Today the show is very interesting. And then there will be a keynote speech. Then Simon, after that keynote speech, you come in from Mozambique. We shall tell you from Mozambique, from the office, from Chisana. Why Mozambique is going down? Perhaps you'll tell us. Mutita, take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking at the topic at hand, which is EU deployment in African conflict zones for political stability or for their own economic stability. Firstly, I would love to talk about a story that my father always just tells us as siblings in our house. My father always says to us, he tells us to say, you can only defend yourselves if you stick together. You can only defend yourselves if you don't take out your conflict from within the household outside. Because once you take out that conflict and the disagreements that you have amongst yourself as siblings, an enemy from outside will be able to will be able to come in and they will use that against you. So make sure you manage to sort out conflict within the household. Similarly to what is happening right now in Africa in relation to the topic that we are discussing today. Of course, when you look at conflict is as a result of a misunderstanding between two or more people. So in this case, the misunderstanding can come as a result of either maybe political, social, economical, spiritual. It can be in different ways on how conflict can come in. So in this case, we look at the topic at hand on the AU, how it's kind of taking advantage of whatever conflicts that we have in Africa to.
Right, all right. Thank you. As you can see, I'm going on break now. And I have to rush to the office. And come back again for the evening or the afternoon program, where we are going to be having the the ex-president or former president of Mozambique, and I'm going to also make a different speech, a different presentation from a different perspective. So we are on top of this. We are going to be talking and hitting it the way it should be. So don't miss the next program coming up after my break. I'm going to be live again. Remember, this is happening on Ekpa Biafra Channel 1, where you are watching live and direct. Don't miss it. We are going to have the ex-president JOAQUIM, the former president of Mozambique, is going to be there, and I will also talk my mind, as always. Remember, the struggle for Biafra continue, and this is how we are doing it, and this is how we'll be doing it. Some people will say, Simon Ekpa, that you should leave Simon Ekpa with his individual private chat with Yes, I'm sorry. I think we have some connection. We have some connection issue there. So, for those who were thinking that this is Simon Ekpa private chat on Punchline Africa, I hope you have seen the private chat. This is how private chat is done, and as we are doing this, we are also reshaping the mind of African leaders who are watching this program. The African leaders watching the program, they will know the truth, especially those who do not, who do not understand, what is going on. We are going to be talking, and we'll continue to talk. So see you in the afternoon. Do not miss the program in the afternoon. We are coming back, and you are going to listen to the presentation or the speech of the ex-president. Let us listen to how they think now. because you know they are the people who have ruled Africa, who are ruling Africa. So let us listen to how this former president of Mozambique, what is, you know, their thought, like how they think, and we are going to respond accordingly, and we're going to address their speech, and we're going to address what he said, and see how to see if we can bunyego de oberuche. All right. Remember, we are going to turn every stone. Thank you very much for watching. May God bless you and bless Biafra and bless Ududua, bless Middle Belt, bless IPOB Worldwide, bless ESN, bless Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, bless you watching me. Thank you very much. See you in the
Attention, attention. IPOB, one family. This announcement is for those outside of the USA that wish to donate to the Eastern Security Network Fund that is based in the United States. Because of the fees that donators have to pay the bank when sending wires, we recommend that if you're sending less than $250, that you donate through the IPOB USA website. It's fast, simple, and less expensive for you. Go to our website, www.ipobinusa.org/donate. That is www.ipobinusa.org/donate and make your contribution. When it comes to keeping our people safe, every bit counts. After all, the security of our communities is our responsibility. Let's make this happen together.
Yeah, Mr. Bella once again. Wisdom, heal it, come on, get up. Say Biafra will not last forever. They say IPOB no go stand. What did they know? What do they know? What do they see? What do they see? If you give me a gun, I will shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I will shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I will shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I will shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I will shoot them aside. No, no, no. Biafra will live forever. Oh yeah. 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 Ogerugo manige tetanura. The lovers of Biafra. This is the time we need to come together and fight for what is belong to us. Ogerugo maniga bandizu. What make us a giant of Africa? Adam Pochinti na Hesugo. Mbogeru nisina nyama kweno. Hello Lisa Binigwe. Out of his wisdom, giving us somebody like Nnamdi Kanu for this our race mission. Biafra will not last forever. They say IPOB no go stand. What did they know? What do they know? What do they see? What do they see? If you give me a gun, I go shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I go shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I go shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I go shoot them aside. If you give me a gun, I go shoot them aside. Oh no. See you joke, our hero, how he fought, he never stopped. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but no power, stop, he cannot stop. Biafra will live forever.
that heavy-duty catapult, where them call Operation Ghost Town, goes to cities, goes to markets, goes to schools, goes to road, goes to offices, goes everything for the whole of Biafra land. If you know say I dey here, nobody go know where you dey. Now him make the indigenous people of Biafra, where you and me, the proper indigene, don't come to tell how our land will be till they release our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the man who don't sacrifice everything sacrificable for the freedom of his people, including for me and you. If you know like what they happen for Ebonyi, Imo State, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Iguacha, Anambra, Enugu, Delta, and even for your Domoto, you must join this movement. This one no be APC, PDP, ABGA, no Muneya, Wemegu. No. This one, Operation Ghost Town, plus including suspension of all campaigns and the election in all Biafra land, together with political activities. Governors and politicians in Biafra land must draw their ear down well to hear this instruction. This operation we go kickstart from Monday night August, go touch light every Monday until they release our leader, son, husband, brother, cousin, uncle, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Anybody will say him ear, no they hear well. Must understand, say drunken fowl go meet mad fox. Stand up for your right now. Stand up for your freedom. Don't give up the fight. As you observe your prayer meeting weekly activities, now so you must observe this Monday's Operation Ghost Towns in Biafra land, for freedom is life. As you know the tire for 40 days praying and fasting with the Tara night, and in Peking, sowing, you must not get tired of this because you need freedom the way you need blood, need air, need food to survive. The time is now. We must have our freedom. Everybody must join hands. This message is from the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, under the leadership and command of Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nwanne ajụkwala m gịnị ka anyị ga-eme dịka nkwa na-adagharị ala a na-atụgharịakwala akwụkwọ egwu n'ihi na otu ọnụ ihe jide ugbu a ndị nwe ala Biafra bụ indigenous people of Biafra IPOB ekpebiela otu ala n'obodo ha ga-adị n'ihi na ọ na-aba ajụwa ajụjụ ala ajụ ewi ebe ọ bụ mgbe ọbụla ajụwala nkwụ kapịawana ị mara na mgbupụ ya eruwala. Ya mere ha jiri kpebie na malite na Mọnde abalị 30 nke ọnwa asatọ n'afọ a na a ga-enwe ihe a na-akpọ Operation Ghost Town n'ala Biafra niile, nke a ga-ewere ọnọdụ na Mọnde niile ruo mgbe ha ga-atọhapụ onye ndu anyị ji eme ọnụ, nwaanyị, di anyị, nwanne anyị nwoke, ma bụrụkwa onye na-ewere ihe niile o nwere jiri chụọ àjà maka nwere onwe nke ndị Biafra, nke mụ na gị so n'ime ya wụ ndị ọsọ ahịa. Biko nụ kwanyekwara nụ n'onwe unu ugwu n'oge ndị a ga-enwe Operation Ghost Town n'ala Biafra niile, n'ihi na ọ bụghị ọsọ ahịa ka egoro na mara ha dum na-echefuo ndị higher purchase, ndị na-agba kama m ga-anwụ anwụ ka m fuo efuo. Biko, maka na ọkụkọ manya na-egbu marakwa na ọgadịghị ufu ara na-agba. Ọ bụrụ na mwakpo, ntọrọ, mkpachi, ịchị ọnụ n'ala na ntaramahụhụ ha na-enye nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Mazi Nnamdi Kanu n'ụlọ ndị DSS n'ihi nwere onwe anyị, tinyere mkpamkpa na njinji na-eji n'Imo steeti, Ebonyi, Enugu, Delta, Iguacha, Akwa Ibom, Abia na ebe ndị ọzọ anyị na-akpọghị aha adịghị mma. Nwanne menu observe ghost town, ghost cities, ghost market, schools, offices na ụmụnne ya niile. Ajụkwala m ese ihe nke a ga-ewetara anyị maka na onye litere ọtọ ma ebe ọ na-aga tinye na onye nọ nkwụ ọka n'ukwu ma ole ọ chara. Chetakwanụ na nkwa adagharịala na ọsọ anyị na-agba abụkwụkwọ ọsọ nwaanyị na-agba ya ejidere aka ọtụrụkpọkpọ na-echi dinta na-echi. Operation Monday's Ghost Town n'ala Biafra niile, ebe a na-agaghị enwe ihe dịka party campaign, election, meeting maọbụ ihe ndị yiri ya n'ala Biafra. Ndị ọchịchị niile, ndị eze, ndị youth leader, ndị PG, market chairman, banks, road transport workers, town union heads na ọsịkwa na ọsịrị ya ga-adọrọkwa aka na ntị maka na onye na-efugo ntị agbafuo ya ntị. Onye si na ngụ adịghị ire ya were na ya tanye n'anya, maka na ekpegbuo nwa ala apụrụ ya gafe amanna Biafra bịa oke mba. No wonder Britain jiri kpọọ ha the Great Biafrans. Onye na-ele anya n'azụ mmanwụ anyị na-abịa n'azụ. Onye na-ele anya n'azụ mmanwụ anyị na-abịa n'azụ. ABCD ọ ga-afụ ụka. Ọ na-aba atụrụ ọmara ya mara atụọkwara n'ofeke ya efebi isi n'ọhịa. Ejikwala aka gị kpatara ihe ga-egbu gị n'ụbọchị ahụ, n'ihi na n'abalị 9 nke ọnwa asatọ a anyị nọ n'ime ya ka ọ ga-akwasị igbudu bụ Operation Ghost Town. Ndị niile dọrọ aka na ntị. Ọ bụ ndị nwe obodo a na-akpọ the Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB n'aha mkpirikpi n'okpuru onye ndu na onye nchịkọta ha bụ Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ọhamadike 1 n'ala Biafra wetara n'ụlọ ozi ya.